highlighting history of suburban Sydney with the St Peter's Cooks River History Group.
Our aim is to preserve and promote local history.
We're based at St Peter's in Sydney's inner west.
Rockdale Municipality, 12 kilometres south of the Sydney Business District, was originally called West Botany, today part of Bayside Council.
Other early names for the area were White Gum Flat and Frog Hollow. Frog Hollow was a swampy area near today's Seven Ways.
In 1812, Patrick Moore was granted 60 acres, known as Moorefield. Swampy land at the rear of his property became Pat Moore's Swamp.
James Chandler bought Thomas Sylvester's farm in 1822 and was later granted extra land. He called his property Bexley and became known as the Squire of Bexley.
Other early landowners were James and William B. Hagg, Simon and James Pearce, and George Trace, who later sold his land to Moore. John Webb's land was scrubby and arid.
Still standing today in West Botany Street is Wilson's Cottage, an early pioneer home built on the banks of Muddy Creek.
Bexley was subdivided in the 1850s and Joseph Davis built Lidham Hall. Davis, a master butcher, used the surrounding area to graze cattle. Frederick and Herbert Streets were named after his sons, Clarence Street after his grandson.
The first Methodist church services were held in a primitive building on B. Hagg's property. In 1858, James B. Hagg donated land in today's Bay Street for a church and graveyard. A stone chapel was built. In 1860, a day school was started and continued until 1884, the forerunner of Rockdale Public School. A manse with a minister was built in 1887. In 1936, gravestones were moved to form a remembrance wall.
In 1862, Rocky Point Road was declared a parish road and a trust appointed to repair and maintain it. Near Spring Street, named because of the creek which bubbled there, was a toll gate from 1869 until 1876, when the road was declared a main road and the trust abolished.
The area was described as a number of market gardens, nestling among them a well-kept nursery called Rosevale. The nursery was owned by John Iliffe. His home was Rosevale Villa.
The municipality of West Botany was established in 1871. The first council chambers was a stone building purchased from Mrs. David Hannam for £20. The name was changed to Rockdale Municipality in 1888.
In 1874, 7 Mile Beach was renamed Lady Robinson Beach to honour the wife of the Governor, Sir Hercules Robinson.
A township near the beach was called Scarborough. Land dedicated for public use in 1879 was called Scarborough Park. This land was Pat Moore's tidal swamp. Only 10 out of 100 acres were usable. Some draining was done in 1890. A 1930s depression work project saw it drained, filled, and artificial lakes created.
In 1882, 309 acres, the site of Webb's grant, was resumed for a sewerage farm. Another 311 acres were added. The farm operated until 1916, when the sewerage ocean outfall opened. The New South Wales Polo Association bought 56 acres of the old sewerage farm and established the Kaima Polo Ground. The name was later given to a suburb in that area. Barton Park, a cricket ground, golf course and Chinese gardens were also located in the area.
The Geeves family had a store on the corner of today's Princes Highway and Tramway Arcade. Their cottage was adjacent to it. In 1882, Yeoman Geeves was appointed the first postmaster, his wife acting on his behalf as postmistress.
In 1889, the post office was located in a wooden hut adjacent to the station, with the station master acting as ex officio postmaster. A new post office on the site of the present one was built on Geeves's land in the 1890s.
The Illawarra railway line opened in 1884. The name Rockdale, a dale or dill between two rocky outcrops, was suggested by Mary Ann Geeves, tollgate keeper, later postmistress. The Royal Hotel opened near the station on the site of today's St George Tavern.
A narrow strip of land along the shoreline from Sans Souci to Cook's River was proclaimed in 1885 as Cook Park, named after Samuel Cook, general manager of the Sydney Morning Herald and Sydney Mail.
Following the opening of the railway, the area developed. Thomas Saywell acquired land between today's Bay and Bestick Streets, subdivided it and advertised the Rockdale Township estate. Streets were named after the most important ones in Sydney: Pitt, Market, George, King, Kent and York. Elizabeth and Park were changed to Bestick and Bryant Streets.
Thomas Saywell also purchased land at Lady Robinson's Beach. He called this New Brighton, which became Brighton le Sands.
In 1885, his private steam tramway commenced running from Rockdale. He bought land from Joseph Waltz for the tramway arcade. A rocky obstacle on Bay Street was hewn away for the tram line. The tramway had been electrified by the time the government took control of it in 1914, when the 30-year lease had expired. Trams were replaced by buses in 1949.
Saywell's plan was to create a seaside holiday destination for working class people with an hotel, swimming bars and picnic facilities.
The baths opened in 1886. There were separate male and female baths. By 1928 they were dilapidated and new Brighton municipal baths opened. Storm damage led to the demolition of these in 1979. New ones were completed the following year.
The new Brighton Hotel was on the site of today's Novotel. Saywell's terrace, where he lived, was erected nearby. Today, only 5 of the terraces are still standing.
The Shady Nook picnic area had a bandstand, roundabout, children's playground and kiosk.
A Baroque pavilion named Mammoth Hall was used for dances, concerts, roller skating, boxing and gymnastics. It was demolished for Brighton's shopping and business centre.
The hotel lost its liquor licence and Scots College was conducted there from 1893.
The Brighton Race Club began operating behind Scots College. The Racecourse was described as the prettiest track in Sydney, a pleasant seaside venue, magnificent course, famous for pigeon shooting matches and possessing several football pitches. The spot was diminished when a northeaster blew over the sewerage farm.
The racecourse and beach provided too many distractions for the school. It moved to Bellevue Hill. In 1911, the Brighton Racecourse closed and land subdivided.
In 1886, the BHAGs offered land for a Methodist church in West Botany Street. In November 1981, the West Botany Street Church held its final service and joined the Rockdale Church. The building was sold to the traditional Catholics.
The stone council chambers were still being used in 1887 when land was purchased for a town hall, which was completed the following year. A new one was built on the same site in 1940.
The 60 acres of Moorefields became a racecourse in 1888. The Cogra Golf Club occupied the centre of the racecourse. The last race was held in 1951. It was used for training until 1955. Today, the site of residential housing, James Cook High School, Moorefield Girls High and St George TAFE.
In the late 1880s, the Rockdale Volunteer Fire Brigade was formed. The fire station on Rocky Point Road was replaced by a modern one in Bay Street in 1938. It was closed in 2006 and moved to Arncliffe.
In 1890, Rockdale was listed as having 45 market gardens and 22 dairies. Some of the Chinese market gardens are still operating.
In 1893, the Grand Hotel was established. It was later rebuilt on the same site.
More churches opened.
The Congregational Church held services in the town hall until a block of land was purchased in Frederick Street in 1891. A church was built the following year. In 1975, Methodist and Congregational churches combined. From 2003, the building was used by the Macedonian Orthodox Church of the Resurrection. It was destroyed by fire in 2016.
St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church's foundation stone was laid in 1891 on land donated by Joseph Walsh. A specifically designed church building opened in 1967.
In 1892, St Stephen's, a Free Church of England, was established in Pitt Lane. The Banksia Free Church, whose original building on Princes Highway, was replaced in 1961. Today, the Orthodox Church of St Savas of Kalymnos.
St John's Church of England foundation stone was laid in 1897. The Church Hall foundation stone in 1907.
Quirk's Paddock was purchased by the council for a park. Rockdale Park was declared a public reserve in 1900.
The St George Bowling Recreation Club was built on land fronting Frederick Street. When the railway line was quadrupled, the club moved to Harrow Road.
The 20th century saw further development in the municipality.
Residential estates were advertised. The shopping centre developed.
There were two picture theatres, the Acme, which became the Odeon, destroyed by fire in 1977, and the Imperial Theatre, later called the Rex. Remnants of that building can still be seen on Princes Highway.
The Palais Ground and Castle Palace Halls opened.
The Rockdale School of Arts, which had started in 1887 in rooms on Frederick Street, had a new building in 1912. The Guild Theatre has been based there since 1959.
Rockdale was described as the busiest station in the suburban rail network.
During the 1930s, depression relief projects were carried out.
Spring Street was piped. Muddy Creek, an open drain flowing from Carlton to Cook's River near Kaima, became a concrete-lined stormwater channel.
Seawalls at Brighton and Ramsgate were repaired.
Hopetoun Park, which had been created when Walsh's quarry was filled with garbage in 1911, was improved. Rock still in the area was cut down and it was renamed Gardner Park.
In 1932, there were 13 camps and humpies built in the sandhills at North Brighton. The last of these were removed in 1947.
In 1946, the Rockdale Municipal Orchestra presented its first concert. The council extended the orchestra's repertoire to include opera. Subsequent opera productions were performed by the Municipal Orchestra and Opera Company, which still exists today.
The first Rockdale Permanent Library, located behind the Town Hall, was demolished to make way for the Rockdale Council Administration Centre. The Town Hall was refurbished and the library remained in the northern wing until the new library opened in 2016.
In the 1960s, Macedonians began to settle in the area. Orthodox churches were established.
The site of the former Rockdale Commonwealth Bank and public toilets became the Rockdale War Memorial Garden in 1971. It was refurbished as part of the Anzac Centenary in 2015.
To celebrate the centenary of the municipality in 1971, a coat of arms was granted. The motto, "It thrives by progress."
While Rockdale was thriving by progress, other suburbs developed.
Banksia, until the late 19th century, was heavily timbered. When residential development began, one of the leading developers was Frederick Jamison Geeves, a Member of Parliament after whom Geeves Street is named. A railway league was formed to get a station between Arncliffe and Rockdale. 15 years later, in 1906, Banksia Station opened. The name was suggested by David Stead in recognition of the botanist Joseph Banks. Stead lived at Lytham Hall in the 1920s. Banks here was described as a pleasant residential suburb.
South Scarborough, 7 Mile Beach and Lady Robinson's Beach were early names for the area which today is Ramsgate.
Ramsgate Bars, Pemberton's or just Pems, was the first and best remembered land-based swimming bars in the district. Located on the corner of Ramsgate Road and the Grand Parade, the bars were named after the man who built and ran them, Arthur Pemberton. When opened in 1924, they only had one 50-metre pool. A second pool was added the following year and a children's pool in 1926. Over the years, Arthur Pemberton added a series of different attractions: slippery dips, kiosks, dance hall, sand-filled sunbathing area, and a small zoo which contained birds, reptiles, dingoes, and most famously, monkeys. Pemberton died in 1968 and the bars closed at the end of the 1969-70 swimming season. Coles New World purchased the land and built a supermarket on the site.
The name Monterey was first used by a post office and shopping centre, possibly after Monterey in California, because of its many Californian-inspired street names. Unofficially known as North Scarborough, Monterey, between Ramsgate and Brighton, was a suburb without a name. In 1972, a new suburb was created.
Today, Rockdale has a mix of residential apartments, houses, commercial buildings, and light industrial areas. There are many shops, cafes, restaurants, and pubs. Next to the train station is a major bus interchange for Sydney buses.
If you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel, then ring the bell to be notified of new videos.
Coming soon, Cogra from swamp to settlement.
And check out our website, stpeterscooksriverhistory.wordpress.com.